Yes. I just wanted, we're going to have a new social media policy tonight, and President Sabo had attended a social media in the First Amendment class at the Ohio Township Association. Then we discussed it. I've worked with Eric Haynes, also Eric Williams. We want to go over a few things about social media, because there is new case law. Did somebody take yours? Yep. There's new case law about having a strong social media presence, policy, to avoid First Amendment violations. So there's some things we didn't realize about not just Facebook, but any social media, that of course, First Amendment rights of free speech are included in any social media. So what we have at Plain Township are 3 official social media sites and a Twitter page, 3 official Facebooks and a Twitter. These are limited public forums for speech, meaning that it's township run. We are putting township information on there, our meetings are on there. Everything links and it is brought back to the township there. So we are not able to restrict or remove public comments from there or block a user, because that violates their First Amendment right, as it's a government-run social media site. However, there are some caveats in that you'll read in our policy. Of course, you can't go on and harass somebody. You can't, curse. You can't make discriminating remarks. That's all in there. So basically, our site is, allowing people to post comments, and it's promoting public discourse.
Which, to clarify, we can technically use it just as a one-way path. So we don't have to offer commenting.
Eric?
We can't allow the restrictions on the posts of individual Facebook posts.
I'm just saying as an entirety, the entire page can be set up so that it's more a one-way information push, where there's no comments at all.
You're saying to disable the comments?
Yeah, we could do that.
Do you know how to do that?
I would have to look.
Okay, because Eric was saying there's not a way to do
Unless
that.
they've taken that away.
What they will allow us to do, which we did some time ago, is remove our review section, which is just a broadband comment on, like if you were a business, how well your business is run. We don't really need a review on it, but the individual posts, you can't turn off the individual comments to be made on the posts.
But if you find that you can, talk to Eric, because that would be great.
So it's a matter of technology, not legality.
Yeah.
Right.
Because even in all those people that they kind of polled individually, in the discussion in that class, there were a lot of people that said, we don't have even a place for comments on ours.
Yeah.
So, but they give all kinds of information. If you have a question, contact, all the contact.
And that would be like on our website is set up that way. There is no two-way street. We put a bulletin board out, they can't comment back. But Facebook is a little different from the standpoint of the individual posts.
And I think now that you say that, there may have been some confusion of those two. There may have been some people there that were kind of thinking that guy was speaking about their web page versus a social media page.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense now.
And keep in mind, you can use whatever tools are available to you, whatever tools you want to use. But it's real simple. If one can post, everyone can post.
Yep.
Correct.
And we can't restrict content.
And we cannot block.
And we can't
Correct.
block.
That's correct.
But you're certainly able to set up, like if we figure out a way to do it, certainly use Facebook as Trustee Hawes is suggesting as a one-way street.
Just as a
push notifications out,
right.
to talk about what's going on in the township,
Right.
and all that kind of stuff. That's
Correct.
fine. Just once they're able to comment, we don't restrict it.
Yes. So what I want to discuss for all of the elected officials and even department heads or, us up here is that what you have to realize that if you are using your social media site for any kind of public forum about Plain Township, it's protected again by free speech rights, meaning, and you can read through this to get into, you know, all the details. But on your Facebook site, if you're linking to minutes or allowing for discourse on township functions, ideas, policies, giving your attendance at various township events, you have created a public forum, and you are in the same position where you cannot block and you cannot remove comments. And there have
let me
been,
interject,
yeah.
because here's where it gets tricky, okay?
I mean, this is just ludicrous, it's fine. It's
You're
just
right,
what it is.
but here's where it gets tricky. Because, and I'll use you as an example, because you're social media savvy and active. Okay, I see all the time when you say, this is our last meeting. You may not even say a word about it. Like, sometimes you'll say, this is what happened, or great work, or whatever, but sometimes you just put it. And what they're saying in the cases of law that's being developed is, once you open that door, should someone come on your page and say, this is a Forest Plain Township's awful, and you're awful, and everything about it is awful, even though it's your page, because it's been opened to they're allowed to do it, and you can't remove it, you can't block it.
Classic.
I don't even know that it even needs to extend as far as content. If these gentlemen said, hey, this is Scott Haas, I'm a trustee of Plain Township, here's my contact
yes,
information.
it is that little, and I was gonna say that
It's that
next. If you
simple.
have, you know, Tom Wolf, Plain Township Fiscal Officer,
Yeah.
here's my number, here's the office, it's a public forum. And
And
there
you-
has been.
And that's okay. The public forum's fine. You just
You
have to
just
follow
can't
the same
block or
guidelines.
remove. And there has been case law already, and you'll see some samples of
Classic
Davison
government
versus,
Legal overreach.
Davison versus Loudoun County Board of Supervisors, and the chair of the Board of Supervisors blocked a constituent.
For 12 hours.
Only 12 hours. In the morning,
12
this
hours.
person realized, I probably shouldn't have done that. You know, you could just hit block. So this person sued and won and had to pay court costs and attorney fees. You know, even though this board supervisor didn't use a county-issued device, didn't do it during work hours, the Facebook page was not going to revert to the county when that person left, it's still a public forum. Because the defendant included her official title as the chair of the County Board of Supervisors and her displayed name on the page. They also had the county email and phone number where she could be listed, and the page included the official county website. And you know, she held conversations with constituents on there, and occasionally submitted posts from, you know, the commission she was on, and you know, she lost that. And then there's another case, Wilson et al. Versus Wallace, where a person, you know, blocked them from the Facebook page too. Same thing. So, even though you think, like Eric said, you think it's your private Facebook page, you're on the, you know, if you block, if you remove posts, you will end up paying attorney's fees and court costs. They could award any additional damages. That hasn't happened so far.
I guess for the public, I don't post anything I'm not willing to stand behind anyway,
Right.
so.
Sure.
They don't like it too
Well, I
bad.
mean, we've been going through this, people can go anywhere in the newspaper and say anything. I mean, I've already had Phil come out and say that I was hired by Lou G. Vase, which wasn't true. I mean, I was hired by
Sure.
Nancy Ryan. I didn't say anything, but again, people can say whatever they want in the newspaper. And we've been going through that for how many years?
Sure.
Talking about it. You
Sure.
don't like this. Come to me, but the question I have is, what if someone's wearing a road department uniform or a fire department uniform, and then it happens to get on this, and starts on that, opened up that door, and then all of a sudden, bad mouthing Scott,
And they have more
Yeah.
rights than,
Lisa.
than everybody else.
and
And that
everyone
was
sees it's
just,
an actual employee, and they have that right
yeah.
to do it?
And that
Sure,
was
because-
discussed, because
No.
they have more rights than you guys do.
What
in
you have
that
to keep
case.
in mind is, they have every right as an employee and as a citizen, certainly as a citizen acting in their own time, to voice their First Amendment opinion. Now, the caveat to that is, they're not able to be defamatory, they're not, you know, like you were talking about stuff that's not true, you do have some ability there to do some things
Right.
if you're so inclined, but they have every right to go on and voice their
That
opinion.
can, yeah.
And there's some best practices that you may want to consider, that your official title shouldn't appear in your displayed name, your official township number or email shouldn't be listed, links to official township websites or content from the township should not be shared or reposted, and branding from official township should not be copied on personal sites. And they're saying most likely, you know, that an elected official's personal social media site would be a limited public forum, even more so than an employee's personal site. If you are elected and you choose to discuss matters of public matters, they're recommending you provide a disclaimer in your bio on the website. Now, they didn't give any listings of what that disclaimer would be. I don't know. We put a disclaimer on our official pages saying this is the official Plain Township Facebook site. Comments, you know, posted may not be that of the Plain Township trustees. So you know, they didn't give any examples of what yours would be.
So they've done a half-assed job recommendation on, well, we're gonna hold your feet to the fire on this, but we're not exactly gonna give you the total framework of, because we wanna have some liberal movement on this and how we can interpret it, and whether or not it's gonna be.
It's really new stuff, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, you know, it's the reality of 2018, and
One issue is, and in the one class,
Don't have it.
the attorney that was facilitating this class also is a firefighter, teaches at Cincinnati in the fire degree program there. But he talked about more so in public safety, law enforcement, fire service, as to the rules being a little bit different for when is an employee and when is an employee a private citizen.
right.
Because if they cross that line, that causes anything to be detrimental to that government's ability to be able to provide both service and the trust in that service, that could be a problem. So if you have, you know, if there's a fire, one example was, there was a fire in a fire department because of layoffs, had a brownout at a fire station. And that particular fire department, there was a fire death, and immediately after that, the guy identifying who was obviously a member of that fire department stated that the reason that happened is because there was a brownout. So obviously he was disciplined, and that stuck and that helped, because he wasn't in fact speaking as a private citizen. And so I think there are issues there, I think with our policy, you know, as to how we deal with those individuals and what they can say and what they can't say. At least the consensus from the people that was in that class was that almost all cases of disciplinary action have held on social media violations of good written policies. So,
Yeah, because you can have reasonable restrictions, you know, as far as language and content. But,
it was a little scary even when he talked about hiring processes, because he said now in some really sensitive issues, potential employers are asking for access to all of their password protected social media sites.
God, that seems like a hell of a.
It did to me too, but he said,
Overreach.
He said it's because it's a matter of appointment. It's not, you know, they haven't been hired yet, but, and he said there's been a couple of those that, you know, they've been challenged. I found it hard to believe, but.
yeah. So we do have a new policy tonight. The one thing it says you can put in your policy, but we didn't, was how elected officials should maintain their Facebook, but I thought that was separate from
Yeah.
the townships.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be telling you what you can or cannot do, we're just merely
Certainly if you
telling
wanna
you.
talk about it, you can.
Fly.
Yeah.
He'd be out of luck if you told him.
I mean, anybody that follows me, whether
Yeah,
yours
yours
or
is all
campaign, will not.
Pretty
I mean, I
useful.
don't, it's not,
Yours
it's
is
fact.
always
You may-
very
You may not like it, but it's,
And see, if that's the approach you take, you're not gonna have a problem, because you're not gonna restrict anymore, and you're not gonna block
You're
it's
not
it.
gonna-
just, it's just the principle that somebody's trying to tell me that
I know.
all of a sudden my personal,
Yeah.
no, it's really not.
Right.
I
And in
know.
some ways, that's exactly what they're saying.
Yes.
And
Correct.
if that becomes an issue, certainly we can talk about it. But one of the things that you might do is, if you're gonna continue with that social media forum, is have two separate accounts. You know, and you might
Sure.
have one where you just flat out refuse to discuss or engage in anything township related, and one that's called
One that's always-
Scott House Plain Township Trustee or something, just.
And then
spitballing.
you'd have to put a disclaimer, this is the
Sure.
official site, Facebook page of Scott House Plain Township Trustees, and kind of what we have on ours, comments or remarks may not
Yeah,
reflect
but-
my own personal views.
Scott usually keeps everybody posted, he always has a good way of keeping people, residents posted.
Yeah, the only other side is-
Or after events, the
Yeah.
after event, I mean.
Is
he
that
keeps
you
everyone
can't block or you
Yeah, that was the
can't
big
comment.
issue.
That's the biggest.
You let one person speak, you gotta let everybody.
Yeah,
Right.
Unless you have a policy as to what you will allow, like the stuff that we did.
yeah,
No, no vulgarity,
yeah,
Right.
harassing.
profanity.
And one note on, for Eric Williams, you were asking about blocking the posts, the comments. The only thing that you can really do to restrict people's ability to comment on our Facebook is to have forbidden words, like you would usually say, no profanity. So you put those words in, and then those words wouldn't show up on your post. And you could put in like all the verbs and nouns that you could think of. The problem that I see with that is, aren't you then you automatically basically telling everybody that you're violating their First Amendment right? Because the platform is designed as a social media two-way exchange. If we deny everybody, then we're
Well,
basically doing the
the
same
simple
thing.
answer to that kind of stuff is this. I don't know what kind of, for lack of a better phrase, bang for our buck we're getting from our Facebook page, but if that should become a rampant problem, I promise you we can find some other way to get people information.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you just shut the
Have it.
damn thing down.
Right.
I mean, it's not.
That's what I have to do
And-
for my own.
And I will say also that, we do monitor our Facebook page pretty closely. It's very rare,
Yeah.
very rare that anybody says anything other than, hey, this was great, this is
Yeah.
nice, comment about posts that we put up. So it is not a common
Right.
occurrence.
Right.
I know what I was thinking, and this probably does differ from your personal page versus, like, I had my campaign page where folks can just
Right.
follow you, like,
Right.
page. On the personal page, you can go into your settings and you can set it where every comment, regardless of whether it's public, friends of friends, you can preview it before it's allowed to be posted. I know that's within the settings, at least from the personal side. Now, if you go out and create, whether it's Scott Haas, Plain Township Trustee, or whatever, there may be some different parameters I have to look. Yeah, but I know,
The best
my
thing would
friends,
be
I allow
if
this to
we
post,
just
but if
didn't
it's
have
somebody I don't
comments.
know, I see it before I allow them to post out, because
Yeah.
in 99% of the time, it's okay, it's there, but.
So that's it for the social media and First Amendment, but that just goes to show you too how good that Ohio Township Association is, the conference and the kind of information that we're getting back. Had you not attended that one,
That economic development in social media appeared to be the hot topic.
Uh-huh, that's good.
One quick note also on the Facebook post or Twitter, anything that we put out. Once we put it out, we can't take it back because our public retention and record retention protocol says that we put it out, we've got to leave it out and have it
well,
available.
that depends though.
As long as it was
No, if it's-
not
if it's-
transitory, not
Yeah, and most
transitory.
of, I have to say, 99.99% of our postings on Facebook are transient. Easter egg hunt is, March whatever. Once that Easter egg hunt's over, you don't have to keep that. Township meeting on, this Tuesday, here's our agenda, if we put that out there. Once it's over, because we have it in another format. So most of it, we use it as if we had a cork board and we're putting up postings and taking it down. We don't set policy on there, we don't, the board doesn't make, decisions on there.
So in theory, based upon this, because I mean, this is outside of the board of trustees or any of us and what we do from a personal page aspect, John and I got to be the benefactors of a Facebook page that portrayed itself with the town, with the township.
And they would have created a limited public
Whole 9
one.
yards. And, I mean, there was information out there, you could dispute whether it's true or not. I mean, what means or responsibility do we have if we come across that to prevent it from being removed like a page was? It was like as soon as the election was over, there was no signs of whatsoever of that. So, I mean, I'm just curious from a legal, I'm not gonna make a mountain out of a molehill.
Sure.
But let's say, because Lord, I mean, I don't think John was here, but I'm sure recalls when there's been more than one occasion where we've had aggressive residents, and unfortunately, he and one of our predecessors were threatened by one of those individuals. If an individual like that went out and created, I mean, there are very rare situations where you definitely want to, outside of the reporting it through social media, which we can do, we somehow want to get that shut down or froze to where it couldn't be removed for the sake of that. But I mean, how the hell do you even go about that with a monstrosity such as Facebook or Twitter? Because they're going to be like, hey,
Not
listen,
like
you're not
they
the authorized.
initiated a suit, that's how they did it.
Yeah, I think you're gonna find yourself, litigation's gonna be your best avenue.
Yeah.
And the worst part is you can go out and create any fake page that you wanted to, quite frankly.
Right.
Use some fake alias and
Right.
you're never gonna pin it down. So that's where some of this, I guess.
Well, some of this, like I said, is so new in the development of it, it's gonna work itself out through some of it. But the other part of this is, there's a wild, wild west out there when you talk about the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, there's scenarios we haven't even thought of yet
No.
that are
Not
coming.
even,
Yeah,
So-
and if it comes to it, that we have to take it down,
Yep.
because things get crazy, then we do.
Yeah,
Because
there's always
You know.
the easy fix.
we have our newsletter to promote,
Right.
we have our web page, we
Right.
have,
It's
Yeah.
just sad that the things that are quick,
Yep.
right,
typically highly effective and efficient from a
Yeah.
time aspect, now all of a sudden can be so easily bastardized, and then
Right.
it really does drive away in value. But then again, I mean, that's why you're also seeing stuff in the news, the number of certain social media users is on a declining trend because of,
yep,
These types of issues.
Some of these
Yep.
types of issues.
yeah,
yep.
yeah.
That issue of those pirated sites, if you will, or fake sites, and they did talk about that, and they said, in some cases, you may want to just post on your official website. These are the official sites of the Plain Township Board of Trustees.
Right.
Let's do that.
Anything demonstrating this logo or anything else are not these sites, or something along
Good
those
idea.
lines. That way, that way there's no problem. And, if you say, hey, you don't speak officially for us, that is a case of,
So
possibly
we'll add that on our
getting
webpage,
be able to
that's a
take
good
it down.
idea.
So, it's just,
Yeah,
another possibility, that's
that's a good
Yeah.
idea,
So,
yeah.
anything else? Any other questions? Comments? Okay, officially then, we went into work session at approximately 6:44, 5:44, and we will begin our meeting at 6 o'clock.
Yep.
I'm going to call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Plain Township Board of Trustees for February 13th, 2018 to order. Everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The agenda is before us. Do I have any additions, deletions, corrections?
I just have a couple updates on our concerns of trustees related to Stark County Township Association and a symposium.
There would be two items.
What was the second one?
Symposium. Okay, we have those two for concerns of trustees. Any other items?
I need to remove number 4 under fire department.
Remove?
Number 4 has been eliminated. Anything else? Okay. Hearing nothing else, we will move on to the first item of business, and that would be under new business, setting a date for an appeal for the address of 2541 Endro. I think I will turn that over to Mr. Ferrara.
Yes, sir, we have sent the necessary letters out to notify the residents of the owners of that address. And they are here tonight. They sent the letter in that they wish to appeal. And so we are setting the date for that appeal.
Okay, and are we limited to time frame? How much time do we have? The reason I'm asking, are we going to be within the time frame if we do it at our next regularly scheduled meeting, like we do other appeals?
Scott put that together, Scott Kelly put that together, and I believe that we are within the time frame what we had talked about before. I don't have the dates on hand right now.
What dates?
The time frame. Once they're notified, what is the
Once
time?
the clock starts, we have 30 days.
Well, the appeal would stay that time period. Are you talking about, I'm not quite sure I understand what we're all talking about.
Once the notification that an appeal is to be made, once we receive that, we have X number of days
Right.
in which we need to set the date of the appeal hearing, and of which that appeal hearing must be held.
The minimum time is 20 days, and I would think that that would be after the appeal is received, the appeal letter.
Well, if that would be the case, then we would do it 2 weeks from now, 14 days.
We'd be within the
At our next regular meeting, we would be within that time frame,
Yes.
correct? You're doing some quick reading, aren't you?
I am.
That's what I thought.
No earlier than 7 days after they made their request, which was made, we have a date on the request?
Last Monday.
Okay, so no earlier than 7 days, but the hearing within 15 days
So 15 days from last month,
from last Monday.
which is to 12.
Unless otherwise agreed to by both the board and the parties who are here.
So the 5th and 15th is the 20th.
Yeah,
When's our next meeting?
you're not gonna be able to make it
You
to
won't
7.
make it, 27th.
Unless we agree to
Well,
Unless
extend.
you agree to.
Unless we agree
That's
to
when
extend,
both parties agree.
Right.
Something that
which would be the 27th.
That's the next meeting.
Or you could do it the next Tuesday to stay within the
Correct.
timeframe, the 20th.
Obviously, we want to try to make this as convenient as we can for you guys.
27's fine.
And the 27th would be okay with you guys?
Yes.
Yeah, that would maybe give you a little bit more, that would give you a little bit more time to just kind of think about, your process and everything. And we're okay with that, right?
Yeah, I just, for the record, not to be hypercritical
Yeah.
legally, but would you please state your name for the record and you agree to that?
Edward Mathis?
Okay, and you're the property owner?
Yes.
Okay, and you agree to have the hearing on the 27th?
Yes.
Okay, and is this your
Carol
wife?
Mathis.
Are you also a property owner?
No, that's my daughter.
Oh,
In case
okay.
something happens to me,
Okay,
Okay.
are you the sole property owner?
yes.
Okay, great.
At 5:15,
Pardon?
at 5:15 PM?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Time work?
Is that a good time for you? I
Yeah.
mean, we can move it back a little bit if you want to, it's,
No, 5:15 is fine.
okay.
Yep.
Or-
So I actually don't have,
Does that work for all of you
Tuesday,
guys?
February 27th, 5:15.
I don't have a
27?
resolution for that. Do we do that by resolution?
Yeah, do you not have?
We don't
I
have-
do not.
This is,
I'll make a motion, I will make a motion that we officially set the date for appeal for 2541 Indra Northeast per the denoted Ohio Revised Code language requiring an appeals hearing to be held as agreed to by the property owner, Edward Mathis, on February 27th, 2018 at 5:15 PM Eastern Standard Time at Plain Township Hall, located 2600 Eastern.
Second. And moved and seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Thank you. So, just to make sure, we just want to make sure that you know the correct time, correct date, and location. You guys are good with that then? Okay. Thank you. Okay, moving on, we will move to the fiscal officer's report. Mr. Wolf.
Thank you. Fiscal Officer number 1 is a request for resolution to authorize the payment of pending warrants in amount of $182,066.05.
I will so move.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 2 is a request for resolution to authorize payment of regular payroll in an amount not to exceed $250,000.
So moved.
Second. Been moved and seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 3 is a request for resolution to authorize payment for the following medical claims.
Also move for the pay.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 4 is the financial report for January 2018. If anyone has any questions, I'm available after the meeting.
Okay.
Fiscal Officer number 5 is a request for resolution to authorize a refund as follows for overpayments for emergency medical services as requested by Ohio Billing.
I'll move on fiscal officer number 5.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 6 is a request for resolution to authorize the following transfers.
I'll move on fiscal officer number
I'll
6.
second it.
It's been moved and seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
And that concludes the Fiscal Officer report.
Thanks, Tom. We'll move on to the administrator.
Thank you. Item number 1 is a resolution to adopt the attached Plain Township Handbook Revision Drug and Alcohol Program effective immediately.
So moved.
Seconded. It's been moved and seconded, discussion.
Yes, I would like to point out on the record the changes. The first change on page number 1 replaced the word opiates with opioids throughout the entire document. Page number 6, a section, a part that said removed other than over-the-counter medication, because if an employee is impaired, they may be removed from duty and tested, even if it's caused by over-the-counter medication. Page 12, there's some language in there that protects the township, meaning that if somebody tests positive or refuses to submit, they would be disqualified to receive any benefits from the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation. And the last change is a differentiation between DOT and non-DOT testing requirements, and that is by federal regulations.
So, obviously, we are just doing those updates and staying on top of this. For
Correct.
the sake of a good, solid policy.
Absolutely.
Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 2 is a resolution for the board to adopt the attached Plain Township rules for conduct of public speaks at township meetings effective immediately.
I'll move on. Administrator number 2,
Yeah.
Second.
discussion.
Yes, I want you, instead of what's on our computer, I give you, because we've had computer problems, the handout of what are the rules that you'll be passing tonight. These are rules that the board has had in place, however, not in a written fashion. It includes people, the rules for public to address the trustees, which is only during the public speaks portion that you're allowed a 3-minute period, but the board has discretion to allow additional time. You're only allowed to address the board when given permission. All comments shall be directed at the board, not to the public. They're basic, make sure that when you address the board, and you all always remind to give your name and address for the proceedings. You can address from the audience or the podium. The members of the Board of Township Trustees are not obligated to answer questions or make statements or commitments. It makes clear no personal attacks are allowed to any of the elected officials or township employees. This can't be used as an avenue to campaign for a political office, candidate, or issue, and that if in breach, the offending person will be asked to withdraw from the meeting, and that is only for that one meeting. And those are the rules.
Mary, there's times at our meetings when we have a large crowd, and Scott was good at this, we tell individuals no repeat. Can we enforce that on these rules too? Where we can tell our residents, look, 2 people have already said it, we don't want to hear you elaborate on the same thing that was already said?
All you can really do is say to people, what we'd like to do for the purposes of time and getting everybody out of here is if you're gonna speak, make it something different than we've heard before, blah, blah, blah. But technically speaking, they don't have to comply with that. They can get up and say the same thing that 6 people have said before.
And based on the time frame,
And that's why you have a 3-minute rule,
Correct.
because when we do have 50 people out here and they all want to say that this development is going to be terrible, or it's going to be amazing, or whatever they want to say, you don't,
Keep getting the same thing.
yeah.
And,
I just wanted to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
and sometimes they don't understand it's a hearing and they're actually speaking to us, and if we've heard, it's going to increase traffic once, that if we hear it 20 times, it's going to influence us more so, and
That's right.
that type of thing. So, I know through the years we've had some issues that we didn't really have a clear-cut policy on, and I appreciate you putting this together and doing the research and passing that back and forth, bouncing it off of us and getting the feel for that, and certainly Eric for making sure that it's within the law. The biggest thing is, we just want to make sure that anybody in the public addresses and speaks to the board through us, so.
The reality is, at the end of the day, it's nice just to have established parameters, because there are certain organizations that don't even offer, it's not a
Yeah, it's not a
requirement. We're here to serve the public, so we definitely want to hear it, but we want to keep it on point.
And it's been a part of our agenda forever.
As I say,
Public speaks.
Yeah,
it's forever.
I can say I've been shocked at a couple places when,
Yeah, and some people
or you
only
got
limit
or you
it
have
to
to,
the
or you have to sign up.
agenda.
Well, the school board, I don't know if they're still this way, but they used to be, you didn't sign up right at the beginning, and you walked in late after they pulled the list, you weren't speaking, which is craziness in my mind, but wow.
Yeah. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yeah.
Thank you. Item number 3 is a resolution to adopt the attached Plain Township Handbook revision, social media and networking, effective immediately.
So moved.
Second.
This is what we talked about during our work session. We do use social media, Facebook, Twitter, as a way to convey information to our citizens. We serve all our constituents this way. It is an open communication. This is merely adding some guidelines about our policy. It is also putting some structure on the comment portion that we are able to remove or restrict comment that is unintelligible, profane, obscene, violent, pornographic, discriminatory, so forth. But we had to have that in our policy to be able to do so. So that's what you have before you this evening.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Thank you. My last item this evening is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees to reimburse the Stark County Sheriff for the one-time upfront costs and first-year annual subscription fee and ongoing annual subscription fees for body-worn cameras for the Motorola contract to be taken from Fund 09A, 07A, and the amount of $40,000.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
We had budgeted for this amount. I have buffered it some from the attached quote that you see. This is for the Motorola body-worn cameras. We're reimbursing the Sheriff's Department because they did a group purchase, which saved us money. They did the negotiating for it all, which is a savings to our taxpayers. We appreciate that. We haven't received the bill yet. We just wanted to be prepared, have the resolution open when we do.
Anything else?
This will be an annual subscription for each body-worn camera that will renew annually, not at this price, because this price includes the setup and fees for that.
Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
That's the end of the administrator's
Thank
report.
you, Ms. Cannon. Now we move to the fire department. Chief Schallenberger.
Thank you. Item number 1 is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize uniform allowance blanket in the amount not to exceed $25,000 to be taken from Fund 28A06H for the purchase and payment of squad jackets, uniforms, and miscellaneous accessories from various vendors.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Chuck, just to clarify, I think per our conversation, some of the stuff's close to 10 years old, and I mean, we've done everything we can within reason to essentially share. You know, some of it's hand-me-down
Yeah.
stuff, and I mean, with the new stuff, it's all ANSI compliant for reflectivity and fire resistant, anything like that.
Yes, we're replacing ones that are, aged, and then also have new employees that will be, through our hiring process, I'll have ones to hire for them, or checks to buy for them. So I'll be replacing existing employees and new employees with that. So, and it will be better for daytime visibility, to help out with that, ANSI class.
Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Okay, item number 2 is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize uniform allowance blanket not to exceed $25,000 for purchase and payment of uniforms, uniform accessories from various vendors.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
And that's for normal uniforms. We start ordering new clothes for, all the employees, so.
That's per collective bargaining
Yeah.
agreement and got all the other accessories and all of that. So,
Plus I'll have new employees too, to purchase for.
sure.
That's included in there.
Yes.
Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
And item number 3, lengthy motion. This is for the Ohio Revised Code. Motion by Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize Plain Township of Stark County to adopt a standard code pertaining to fire hazards, fire prevention, and for the state and any other department, board, or agency of the state. Therefore, we resolved that the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, adopt the Ohio Fire Code, 2017 Fire Code. and we have to post that according to policy, 30 days in 5 conspicuous places, and post in the local newspaper.
I'll move on FD number 3.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, discussion. Obviously, the reason that we had to do this, because the entire code didn't change. Parts of the code changed, but we have to adopt it in its entirety to be able to enforce it.
That is correct. So about every 5 years, they update changes within the Ohio Revised Code. We work under that, and obviously start county building.
Correct.
So for us to, for new buildings, businesses, et cetera, that allows us to enforce those codes and make sure they're complying with those codes. So we need to update that.
Thank you. Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
And number 4, we skipped. So item number 5, resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize the purchase of payment to Zone Comfort Heating and Cooling Company for installation of 2 heating units for the bays at Station 2 in the amount not to exceed $4,500 to be taken from Fund 10A.
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
And that would conclude fire department business.
Thanks, Chief. We'll move on to the road department. Mr. Iacino.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, item number 1 is whereas the Ohio Revised Code, section 505.10A provides that the Board of Trustees may sell property at private sale if the board determines that the property is no longer needed, and the value of the property is less than $2,500.
So moved.
Hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees that the scrap metal be sold.
He was saving
Sorry,
you some
sorry,
reading.
Joe.
He was saving you some reading, and I'll second you saving you some reading. It's been moved and seconded, discussion. This is pretty common of what we do, it's a
Essentially, this is
Do
formality.
a couple
whether
times
it's
a year.
scrap
Yeah.
drain pipes to posts to stuff from
Signs.
fabrication for
Snow
truck
plow
repairs, blades.
Well,
Yeah.
blades that are more out.
Yeah, anything at all that we have to dispose of, this is the formality we have to do. Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Item number 2 is the annual highway system mileage certification for the year 2017 that we received through our Stark County engineers through ODOT. As you can see,
173.
we lost .62 miles of road, mainly due to annexation.
That's Hall of Fame
Yeah,
village area.
that's all that.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame.
On a road.
So moved.
Good.
Um,
I don't think it, that's just a presentation. We don't-
Presentation,
Yeah.
we need to sign paperwork, send back to ODOT.
Okay, all right. You take care of that, or?
I'll have to check, but it looks like, I don't know if it's brought up here, that it was brought up here, if not.
Oh, yeah, I see, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
all right.
All right. Item number 3 is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize the purchase of one 2019 International Dump Truck Chassis for Brush Enterprises under the ODOT Cooperative Purchasing Program at $84,992.
So moved.
Second, moved and seconded, discussion.
This price for this vehicle, as you look through, you can see what the savings through the cooperative purchasing is quite unreal.
Well,
From last year's truck, the cost increase was about $1,275. And that is because International quit making the engines because of the EPA standards that was set on them. So the new truck will have a Cummins engine.
that's our first comment.
Yes. In the road department, do you have anything? Yes, truck news.
And I think our discussion at the conference, Logan and those guys are all,
Yeah, they requested that maybe we send them to a couple tune-up classes on it.
Yeah.
Chuck and I worked that out with them.
Smart.
Yeah. And then obviously the price that we're getting, if you explain it to me correctly, which there's no doubt,
Yeah,
we're getting that whole thing cheaper than what a person could actually buy the chassis for.
Exactly. So
Okay.
we're getting the whole package.
Yeah.
Right.
Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Item number 4 is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize the purchase and installation of one 2018 snow and ice package from Glen Hilmer's Road Machinery under the ODOT Cooperating Purchase Program, not to exceed $57,021.70.
I'll move on road 4.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
And that price has stayed exactly the same as last year. Nothing, no increase at all.
Where did that package consist of?
That's good. That's stainless. A lot of that stuff is stainless.
I will say, I'm shocked at what they still push for steel beds or what I see out on the road
Yeah.
from other governmental entities that are running steel beds. I don't get why you wouldn't make the investment.
The cost is not much greater to go to stainless, and the overall length of time that's, that we have, that it's
You've been able to swap.
compared.
Yeah.
All this comes with that.
Yes.
Yeah, so the actual, that's what we were saying, the package of all of that is still less than what some people can
That's
actually
having all
get the
that's
chassis.
having all the lights and,
That's the lights and everything?
yes.
Wow.
Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Item number 5 is a letter that we received from Stark County Regional Planning Commission for construction variance on the proposed fountains at Edgewood number 1 allotment in Plain Township. They are asking to include a left turn lane at Market Avenue leaving the allotment. This will make it a 3-lane road, 2 going out, 1 heading north, 1 heading south, and 1 coming in. This would probably reduce wait time for sure, and it may potential to reduce many accidents occurring at that intersection. ODOT's approved the plan. Regional planning will take it to the commissioners if there are no objections by the Township Board of Trustees.
For my discussion would be perfect. I had no concerns if anything. It seems to improve any type of egress on the market versus creating greater stacking for somebody that's looking to go ready.
And the developer will have to comply with this.
Subdivision.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Everything's under subdivision.
Yeah, I knew that was one of the questions for a long time, as to how that would be facilitated.
And I'll say, you take a look at the initial request, they had a study done to try to get a traffic light there, and the state told them right now,
Correct.
based upon traffic counts, but, this is still
I think
reasonable
this is-
effort on their end.
It's, for right now, anyhow, for this first part, because there's, 30 lots maybe to start with,
Yeah.
35. And I'm not sure the time that they're gonna start this project, but I heard this spring it's supposed to be.
Okay.
And I can put together a letter and send it to Joe on behalf of the board.
Joe, just a question for the sake of public welfare, given the challenges of some of our neighboring communities, how are we doing on salt?
We were running pretty tight there. Since this past week, we did get in around 450 tons, which sure helps. And hopefully, it'll continue to come in some this week with no snow in the forecast, probably another week at least. That'll help us get caught back up. But it's not where we're normally at. We have salt on order, and we make phone calls daily to Cargill and to the deliveries.
Well, knock on wood, because what I'm hearing from some other places, they're struggling.
They're struggling, yeah.
Yeah, we actually had 11 loads come in Saturday. We had a guy come in and put them away. Maybe it's all here. It was, pay somebody overtime to get the salt.
Anything else on that? Thanks, Joe. All right, we'll move to zoning.
Thank you,
For our
Mr. President. Item number 1 is a resolution to declare the real property located at 2537 Rome Northeast, parcel number 52-15265, as insecure, unsafe, or structurally defective.
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
That concludes zoning, nothing in parks, nothing for the wall director, no communications.
Except we did forget to wish Tommy a happy birthday.
Oh, you were gonna do that under
Yeah.
concerns of the trustees
Oh.
and fiscal officer. Administrator beat us to the punch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So happy birthday.
Hey.
You're welcome.
Congratulations
Good
on
night.
your new position. In fact, he chose to be here.
That brings us to the portion of public speaks. If there's anybody in the audience that wishes to address the board, please, for the purpose of documentation, give your name and address to our clerk, and then once he has that documented, we'll give you the nod to start. Oh, he's over here, sorry. Fiscal officer, I'm sorry.
Can I just address them from here?
Yeah, absolutely, you can.
My name is Susan Beatty, B-E-A-T-T-Y. I live at 6144 Woodcrest Avenue, Northeast.
Thank you.
I'm here to address the board this evening about an ongoing speeding problem on McDowell Avenue. If you're familiar with that road at all, it comes off of Market Avenue, goes straight up the hill, and it's been a continuous problem. I've spoken to Mr. Iacino about regarding it in the past, and was wondering if there would be any way we could have a more permanent solution.
Well, first and foremost, those streets are already flagged at 25 miles an hour, right?
Correct, that is
And there's
correct.
nothing that, and we're not permitted by Ohio Revised Code to put anything lower than
No,
25.
We did, I do believe we put speed trailer out there for a week
Yes.
or so, and the sheriff, Ron, you did get those results, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, we can do that again, if the board wishes to put it out there to see, you know, when the times are more exact, you know, that does give you the exact times when most of the speeding is going on, whether it's all day or whether it's after school or in the morning, you know, and I
After
think
school.
so
It's after
this way,
school.
the
Just
sheriff
this afternoon,
can-
my grandchildren and I were outside, and someone flew by the house, literally going 55 miles.
And
They
I
come
know,
off the market and they just go like it's a,
I know it's frustrating, and that, I mean, the rules are set by the state for the Ohio Revised Code. I can tell you, I mean, John and I were just down at the Ohio Township Association Winter Conference, and as part of the legislative priorities that the OTA has, because of the 1,308 townships that there are across the 88 counties in the state of Ohio, most of them are very rural. So in Stark County, there's about 5 townships that really, they're large urban townships. Plain being one of those 5 is we're the 5th largest township in the state of Ohio based upon population. The OTA, which lobbies on our behalf, which we have membership to, and as well as Cloud, within this current and the next General Assembly is pushing to be able to get us greater, what we call home rule resolution power that may permit us to consider speed limit changes that would fall under the 25, but unfortunately at this point that is strictly being taken up by, you know, folks like Kurt Schering, Scott Olslager, Thomas Blash, Christine
I
Hagan.
don't think
locally.
changing the speed limit is going to solve the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, I spoke to Mr. Iacino about stop signs.
Well, and
and
I'm
he
just
said-
trying to talk through
Right.
solutions, and, you know, we've looked in the past, speed bumps are definitely in there.
The Ohio Revised Code also tells us we're not allowed to use stop signs to control speed.
And why is that?
Because they're
For
not,
one thing, they don't work.
Oh, okay.
The studies have shown that actually it can increase speeding because they're going,
False sense
you're in
of
an area where they wanna go. And they go and they stop, and then they actually go faster to make up the time that they spend at the stop sign. It's crazy, but there's been
Yeah.
a significant amount of study that,
Except in my case, it's really the people, it's over the hill. It
Okay.
doesn't appear to be the people closer to Market Avenue
Okay.
who are
So
disregarding
actually,
that.
it's people that live on the street are,
Yes,
Anybody,
yes,
What-
because
it's
it's
not
not a
cut
through
through
street,
people.
right.
Yeah.
it's
It's not
typically what,
Okay.
folks within a 1 to 1.5 mile
oh yeah.
parameter are typically your
We
most
used to,
frequent
we used to hear
violators.
from the sheriff all the time, the number one complaint is speeding in my neighborhood, the number two complaint is, I got a speeding ticket in my own neighborhood. So enforcement, you know, obviously these guys can step up at certain times, the trailer does help to give us a feel for what's going on out there. Outside of
And
that,
one of the future things honestly would be a coordination of, as soon as the POP units, staff being able to leverage that. And what the POP unit is part of the public, Plain Township Public's commitment to provide financial resources to maintain a current level as well as increase it. We have two bodies that would be paired up. This POP stands for Problem-Oriented Policing. So whether it's a series of break-ins along the Middle Branch corridor, or it's, you know, speeding on McDowell and Firestone and Lakeside, that POP unit will ultimately be able to be rotated around, because unfortunately, speeding, whether it's in Plain Township or Lake or City Canton, it's a continuous running problem. So I know Captain Springer and Sergeant Koenig back there, these guys do take it seriously. We've had to put the reports out so they can better target their efforts. Unfortunately, sometimes there are parallels within the same, or at the same times, different areas, so trying to appease everybody, sort of trying to trigger it on a rotational basis. We have, I know, was it up on Firestone a year or 2 years ago? Just having a cruiser when they're not out on immediate call, hey, sit there for a certain period of time, and we have
That'd be great.
hammered people with, you know, warnings and tickets. You know, even though tickets get hit hard for a period of time, it's still one of those challenges. You get 14 to 30 days out, and all of a sudden, folks forget that, you know, ticket until they hit it again. So, I mean, outside of, you know, Captain Springer, who does a great job overseeing our staff, making, you know, Sergeants Hall and Sergeant Koenig, updating the staff to say, hey, this part of your rounds.
And I totally understand that the police have, you know, priorities,
Oh.
but I have never seen a cruiser sit on McDowell in the
Well,
4 years.
and likely is they're not, I mean, I'll tell you as one of your trustees, until we either get it or, you know, those guys have time, given the geography that they have to cover and continue patrol. I mean, to see a cruiser sitting, I can tell you that, you know, right when I become trustee, if I see a cruiser sitting, I'm inclined to roll in, and, I mean, Captain Springer these guys can tell you, I'll drop an email or I'll make a call, hey, saw the cruiser sitting down at State, or I saw two cruisers, and, you know, I feel like I'm trying not to be a burden to them, but also, you know, from an accountability aspect to you, the public, and them going, hey, what's going on? Hey, they were filling out this report, two folks respond. So, you're right, they're not gonna sit around a whole lot just because of the continuous rotation, but, you know, if they've got some time, if there's an area along McDowell, I'm sure.
Is there anything I can do?
Well, you've already told us that it's in school time, right? So we'll send them out,
Absolutely,
at school time.
From 2:30 on.
Hopefully they'll sit there for a week or two and pick up, and hopefully the one that's doing the speeding. Usually when you get a speeding ticket, your insurance goes up.
There you go.
So hopefully that's
And
the
it is
person.
a deterrent. I'm
Teaches
sorry,
that person
maybe, I
to
don't
slow
forget
down.
about a speeding ticket. You might, but I
I
don't.
could put the speed buggy out there.
Well, let's do that, let's start with that, that'll give us some data, that's the one that's happening. And,
After school, right?
does that speed buggy, that gives direction too, right? So it would know if the
It
vehicle's
says
going from west to east or east. Okay.
That'd be great.
Time of day.
Yeah,
It needs to be up close to
Different
Woodcrest, because that's totally.
She needs a deputy out over that buggy,
Yeah, we'll get it up as close as you like to get it.
Joe, you
You
typically.
don't want to see it from market. You
No,
know,
right,
That's
exactly,
kind
right.
of what you're trying to do.
Ma'am, I just
Hey,
called
guys,
you.
let's get a
Caution in your streets here on the way home. Please watch the stop sign. Here's my dispatch number, 430-3800. You hit 0, gets you right to the dispatcher.
Okay.
Anytime you see a speeding call,
Okay, I tried to get
Please
it,
call.
yeah,
call and let us know.
okay.
First person will be able to.
Thank you so much.
you're welcome,
Of
thank
course,
you.
thanks for coming.
We out this one.
Yes, you can, actually, you can do it from there, or you can come up.
Yeah.
If you want to speak real loud, you'll have to do it from back there. Just give your name and address for the fiscal officer.
Yes, it's Edward Mathis from 2541 Andrew Avenue, Northeast.
Thank you.
Talking about 2437, 2537.
25, 30.
Wrong. All right, you guys had said on there that it was unsecured area and all that, and there is a fence all the way around it and guard dogs on there. So it is kind of secure. And as far as the building and stuff, we've been replacing all the walls and everything. 2/3 of the walls have been replaced. And we're on the down, well, if the weather would cooperate with us, we're on a downhill side putting all the trusses and the roof and stuff on it. We're just asking if we could have some more time so we can get it done.
This is on Rowan he's talking?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the second property.
Yeah.
And,
Who's doing the work?
But I make a suggestion,
yeah, because I have thoughts on this as well.
and here it is. Pursuant to the statute, we have to follow certain procedures.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay? So my suggestion to you folks would be, continue the process.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say.
Then you get where I'm going, you take it from
We'll
here.
move forward with the process, and then that process will follow exactly the same thing that the Endro address would do. So if you request an appeal, then we'll have that appeal for that as well. That's when these issues of time extension and other things.
Even at the meeting, when you request, just like we did tonight, and we talked,
Yes.
and we figured out a timeline,
Yes.
we can do that on this one too.
Correct,
And that'll also give us some additional time to see your progress.
Okay.
So.
yes.
So
when you-
don't stop, just keep going.
No, keep going.
Yeah,
okay.
If you believe you're gonna get it there, it's in your best interest to do it.
Okay,
I mean, we don't wanna go in there and
Yeah.
do this to buildings,
yeah.
you know, so, yeah,
Because I've invested a lot of time, effort, and
I
money
understand.
into.
make the same written appeal, the
Yes.
exact same way you did before.
Right.
And then we can talk about it at the next,
When it gets to that.
when it gets to that stage.
Yep.
Right. And how long before it goes to the,
To that stage?
yeah,
Well, we won't have it on the agenda, because we're just gonna send it out now, and you have however many days I can tell you exactly, to appeal. You're gonna have 20 days from the date we send it out to make your appeal.
okay,
Then, we're gonna have it on our agenda like we did this last one,
okay.
and then if you come to that meeting, obviously, we can talk about timelines and these guys, and you can decide how you wanna proceed.
Roger
But
that.
that gives you at least a few weeks to make some progress out there.
Oh, yeah,
See
that
where
gives
we're
me
at.
time to get the front trusses finished up and the roof.
Okay.
Are you taking pictures of progress?
I haven't been, but I
It
can.
wouldn't be a bad idea, just to show us, I mean, let's, you know, show, hey, we see this improvement, this.
Because I noticed, I forget his name, one of your employees has been out there taking photos and stuff too. I gave him a tour, I put the dog
It's either
up.
Vince or Scott. Yeah.
Yeah, Vince, yeah.
That would help me, go see that.
And I put the dog up
I think
today,
Scott had a face.
so you can get back there and take some pictures of what the back where we got it started with.
Okay.
And realistically, I can tell you the biggest thing I want to look for in relationship to the process is a reasonable / what you feel would be a realistic timetable to get that completed. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and look that against what we would have. Because, you know, say the worst case scenario. If we had to proceed, you know, we've got to bid it, we've got to advertise, we've got to bid it out, and then from there, we got to get it scheduled. And once it's scheduled and done, who knows that, and I'm just throwing out arbitrary dates, and don't hold me to this, because that could end up being, say, 12 or 16 weeks, well, by then, you're going, hey, I'm gonna be 12 weeks out, or I'm at 20 weeks. And if you're coming to us at 20 weeks and we know we're 12 to 16 weeks out, okay, you know, recognizing you have significant investment of time and capital in it, you know, and again, trying to work with our public as a whole, may go, okay, hey, you know what, the gentleman's asking for either 4 to 8 more weeks with a commitment to have this done by this point. Now, I think that's fair, it's equitable, but if we feel we're not seeing progress, well then, you know, it may lead us to take another view. So, I mean, regardless of whether it's this issue or anything else, I always just ask, you know, for our constituents that we represent and we serve to give what you feel is a realistic time frame. And, you know, I'm here to tell you, 90% of the folks that we've had and we work with, you know, give reasonable time and we work with, you know, there's 10% that have yanked our chain on stuff, and, you know, we've done what we've had to per the process, but that's the only thing I just, for pure guidance, you know, coming back.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Yep.
So, yeah, to answer your question, we're gonna just continue moving forward with the process, but in that process, you have the ability to do exactly what you did on the Antrim property.
All right.
Okay, does that make sense?
That makes total sense.
Perfect, good.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions, or?
Nope, that's it. That's it. All I'm trying to do is get the house back up. I'm
Sure.
retired now, so I got plenty of time before. They had me out of state, out of town. I was lucky to get a couple hours to work on the weekend.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the weather hasn't been
Oh,
real kind
God.
for you either.
Well, when we was trying to secure the Endro property, we had icicles hanging off of us trying to
Yeah.
get holes dug and fence up. Well, you know, you've been out there and saw us. All right.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
We'll keep
Okay,
in touch.
I will.
okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that takes us to concerns of trustees. Concerns?
Okay, a couple things, guys. Stark County Township Association meeting this Thursday. Little Pizzeria. The topic is yard waste drop-offs / it's a combination of Stark Joint Solid Waste District and earth and wood. Ironically, per our earlier conversation on social media and so forth, I've seen a series of posts and comments that it looks like the only site that's being impacted this year is our Wursler Brothers location. Everything else across the county is staying whole. So should you have time, you can get a good meal, and I think it'll be a worthwhile program just for the sake of, you know, I've always joked that, you know, there's a lot of things we can do, and we typically upset people, but start messing with yard waste and pitchforks and the flames a little, which may happen. So just a reminder for that Thursday, 6 p.m. And then
What's the dress code?
La Pizzeria,
Dress code.
whatever you want.
Business casual.
Casual.
Yeah, casual, business casual. Outside of that, the March meeting, we're gonna have at Central Station. Stark County Engineer is gonna be doing that.
Sponsoring it? Or no, talking?
They're
What's,
they're handling all of it.
oh,
Which
okay.
one's not?
Yeah, it's just Plain Township's providing the meeting location. They were looking for somewhere to rent or use space. March 15th, our normal annual meeting from, you know, elected officials
Oh, that big one.
and so forth.
Oh.
Yeah, so,
It's normally up there.
well, it had been over at Myers Lake, but because of changes over there, that location's no longer available.
Where
So
do they think it's going?
we're doing it at Central Station
Oh, Central.
in the training room.
Oh,
It's
nice.
been blocked out and confirmed by
Nice.
Rebecca. It helps the county engineer's office save some money on renting the facility. And
Very good.
selfishly, it makes it close and convenient for us. So we've got that one in March. And then outside of that, my second item was a symposium. I'm not sure if you guys both received the hard letter from Stark County Common Pleas Judge Frank Forshone, but I think it's just worth mentioning. because of the opioid
Absolutely.
epidemic. You know, Judge Forshawn's been at the forefront and actually creating this symposium, Your Life Matters. This year it's going to be held at Malone University's Johnson Center, Thursday, March 1st, 2018, from 6 to 8 p.m. It's free to the public. Essentially, they're going to be talking about, you know, the epidemic, how it destroys lives, tortures the hearts of family members and friends. They'll dive into, you know, unintentional drug overdose deaths increasing 33% in 2016 to, you know, whether you're a friend, family, coworker, you know, somebody who's battling the deceptive and destructive drug, you know, come out and talk about this and be part of it. So I think it's worth noting for the sake of the public record.
Good. That'd be something we're putting on our website.
Yeah, I didn't get a copy.
Here,
They
get
didn't
that one.
email us. Yeah, that would be great.
You know, that would, I think it would just get the word out.
Yeah.
I know Judge Forshawn's pretty passionate about that, so.
Right, so
Anything else? At this point, we will do the approval of the minutes for. Oh, you have concerns?
No concerns.
Oh, I thought you had something that you were secretly.
sorry.
I get it now. All right, no concerns. Thank you.
Tom, you don't have nothing.
Geez, we turn red or, I'm sorry. Oh, no, that's okay. Now we'll move to the approval of minutes for January 23rd, 2018.
So moved.
Wait a minute.
I'll second.
Wait. Isn't that supposed to say 2018?
Oh, they just say, just 18, 23, comma 18.
Oh, no, yeah, but no, in the verbiage it says 17.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
it's supposed to be
sorry.
18.
Yeah,
Yeah, because that's
this
the
is
last.
2017, so that would be January 23rd, 2018.
That's correct.
I will move on the approval of minutes.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
We do have need for executive session, so be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to adjourn to executive session at 6:55 p.m. for this regular meeting of February 13, 2018, as authorized under Ohio Revised Code 121.22G for the purpose of the consideration of 1B, employment of a public employee or official. 1D, as in Delta, discipline of a public employee or official. 1F, compensation of a public employee or official. 1G, investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual. And number 4, preparing for, conducting, or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.